Imagine a time when the power went out and nothing changed except the noise in your head went quiet for a moment. No screens, no instant clicks, no digital routines, just your thoughts, your imagination, and whatever was around you. For kids growing up in the 1970s, this wasn't a rare event, it was everyday life. And the way their minds adapted back then still shows up in who they are today. One of the deep psychological effects of that era comes from something research calls self regulation, the mind's ability to control impulses, focus attention, and stay on task toward a goal. Modern studies show that unstructured play, the kind where kids make up their own games, set their own rules, and solve their own problems, helps develop self regulation more than structured activities do. In fact, when children spend time in free, unplanned play, they show better self control later in life, helping them manage frustration, stick with difficult tasks, and regulate emotion even years down the line. Think about those long hours of play in the street with neighborhood kids. When a ball rolls into the yard down the street, everyone had to negotiate rules, figure out turns, and invent consequences, all without adults stepping in. That is unstructured play building, real psychological structure. It's not just fun, it's neural training. Scientists have found that such free play contributes importantly to self regulation abilities, which in turn supports success in everything from emotional control to social interaction. Another powerful psychological phenomenon that shaped this generation is delay of gratification, the capacity to resist an immediate reward in order to achieve something better later. You might remember that classic marshmallow test, where children were given a choice: eat one treat now, or wait for a better reward if they could hold out. Research from that line of work shows that children who waited longer, showing higher self control, tended to exhibit stronger planning abilities, better emotional coping, and more goal directed behavior later in life. Now imagine waiting for your favorite TV show to air once a week or saving your allowance for weeks to buy a baseball glove. Children in the 1970s were doing this kind of waiting as routine. It wasn't an experiment, it was everyday life. That regular experience of waiting and working towards something didn't just build patience. It actually reinforced the underlying processes that help people regulate impulses, follow through on plans, and stay committed even when gratification isn't immediate. This links closely to another core psychological concept: executive function, the mental skills that help us control our attention, switch between tasks, remember rules, and inhibit impulsive reactions. Early self regulation and executive control are deeply related. They grow through practice and challenge. Researchers have found that children who have repeated opportunities to manage their own play and solve their own problems tend to develop stronger executive skills. These skills later support goal setting, decision making, and emotional control in adult life. In the 1970s, unstructured time wasn't a luxury, it was the default. Without screens, playlists, or instant entertainment, children had hours to fill with whatever they chose. That freedom wasn't just idle time, it was self directed learning, a series of tiny psychological workshops where children learned how to solve problems, manage frustration, test boundaries, and identify solutions on their own. These experiences didn't just make them resourceful, they tuned their minds for autonomy. And autonomy matters. When a young brain is trusted to handle challenges without constant direction, it develops what psychologists call internal locus of control, the understanding that one's own actions influence outcomes. Children who grow up with opportunities to make decisions and deal with consequences develop a sense of agency. They learn that they can shape their path through effort and choice, not just luck or external direction. That builds confidence and resilience, quietly, without anyone announcing a lesson. Adults who grew up in the 70s carry psychological patterns quietly forged through everyday challenges: self regulation, delayed gratification, executive functioning, and a sense of agency, giving them resilience and adaptability that still endures today. And while no generation is perfect, the minds shaped by that era show how ordinary events can produce deep psychological skills that last a lifetime. Looking back, the 1970s weren't just a time of simpler technology. They were a period when Young minds were given the room to grow, explore, and challenge themselves in ways that still matter today. If this brought back memories, give it a like and subscribe for more psychology behind everyday life.